This is the Khmer Times News. My name is Paolo Bornini, and these are your headlines. A virtual mountain of drugs has been discovered. Corrupt officers in Phnom Penh are kicked out of the force. And vomit is great. And I mean really great, for it can make you rich. But firstly, here is our headline story, and it's all about drugs. This story goes on and on and on every single week, and it is rare that I cover it on this show, as it has become normal to read of yet another drug bust. Here are headlines for just the past week or so, and the numbers involved are staggering. A bust of 102 kilos this week. Then, a few days later, 160 kilos was found. And then there was this one. But I have hidden the amount seized. For this last case was so big, it compelled us to run this story. And when you find out how much it is worth in US dollars, you will be staggered.
The 102-kilo bust got one Chinese old lady and two Cambodian nationals arrested for trafficking methamphetamine. The discovery was made when police raided a hotel room. The suspect's confession then led to the arrest of two Cambodian men later the same day. But up the ladder of busts we now go. And on the next rung, we have the bust of 450 kilos. And that is drug trafficking on a gigantic scale. Look at the image on your screen. It is a huge amount that is shown in this photo. It is simply vast. And when all weighed, the police found an astonishing 450 kilos of, that's right, methamphetamine yet again. Police say the drugs had come through Laos into Cambodia. The originator country may well have been Myanmar, where amphetamines are made on an industrial scale in absolutely huge factories, with the tacit approval of local authorities, who receive huge bribes to not only turn a blind eye to the legal activity, but to protect the factories from any international interference. And when you are producing drugs by the ton on a daily basis, the price is really no concern, so you can push it out at will. So here we are at the top of our drug bust ladder. We are at the King of Kings, the bust of all busts. Already we have seen two huge ones so far, 102 kilos and a massive 450 kilo haul. But this one is bigger. It is so much bigger. It is in fact bigger in kilos than a camel at 475 kilos, bigger than an American bison at 630 kilos. Even a buffalo fully grown at 700 kilos is not big enough, nor is a killer whale, for Christ's sake, at 748 kilos. For this bust was over 790 kilos, mostly of methamphetamine yet again. And remember, this is one bust. It's not a year's worth, it is a single haul. And as we all know, a vast majority of drugs are undiscovered. So imagine how much is being smuggled through the country on an annual basis. And here is the end to this tale. The street price for this one large bust, and please, keep in mind I am using a low estimate, for I myself have checked the appendix of methamphetamine prices supplied by the National Drug Intelligence Centre, and from there I have taken a low average. And even then, the value of this one single bust is over $120 million. This bust shows us many things, but two are startlingly clear. Both the supply and demand are extremely high for these drugs, but much more worrying is it seems very apparent that Cambodia is fast becoming the preferred route for the drug kingpins. And with that will only come the destruction of lives on a scale that has never been seen before within the kingdom.
Now, if you live in the capital, you will know all too well that there is absolutely no way of getting away with running a red light. It seems every set of lights, every one-way street that is poorly signed, and each no left turn has an officer nearby. You are driving along, and then, like magic, an officer leaps out into the middle of the street. And you know full well what it is for. Residents of the capital have been very vocal, saying that these officers themselves have become a little too keen of late. Some are, in fact, breaking the law. Only recently, an officer was dismissed for having fines paid directly into his own ABA bank account. And now, another 3 traffic police are to be suspended from duty for taking money that was not theirs. And this time, it was a considerable amount of cash.
The 3 suspended police officers had stopped a man who was in a hurry to get to the airport to drop his wife off. When stopped by the police, he offered the police officers $100, but they did not accept. So he gave them $10,000, which for some reason he just had laying around. But this money was no gift. It was a guarantee that he would return later, and then he would settle the paperwork for the traffic offence. But alas, when he returned, the 3 officers had gone, and so had his money. When seeing the police had gone, the man was outraged, and he drove promptly to a police station and talked to a senior officer. And he told his tale of his missing bag of cash. The case was taken very seriously and ended up with all 3 officers being suspended. This case is an embarrassment for the police, as it is not the first time the residents of the capital have had to complain of less than fair treatment at the hands of the local police. And a police spokesman has echoed that sentiment by saying, there was enough evidence to show that the 3 policemen had asked for bribes. Policemen have been told time and time again not to be involved in corrupt activities, and the suspension of these 3 officers was not the first case of this kind. These suspensions, in fact, are a clear warning to all traffic police. There is now a lot less tolerance for officers who see their jobs as little more than an opportunity of enriching themselves at the cost of the general public.
Okay, here is a headline you would never have heard before from any newsreader. 2 men have been arrested for stealing a roof. Pretty bizarre, but of course it was a metal roof, as they were looking to sell it for scrap. These 2 criminals, who are specialising in literally stealing the roof from above people's heads, were at long last arrested in Phnom Penh after an outbreak of roofs disappearing. Now just imagine that. You go to work, you come home, open the front door, and to your surprise, the bloody roof is missing. I mean, what are the chances? The two men suspected were detained when an eagle-eyed policeman spotted the two men walking off with a roof. By the way, that bit about the eagle-eyed policeman was in the news report. I, myself, have a different view. I think it's rather generous to praise the ability to see. I mean, how difficult can it be to see a man carrying a roof? But when the police did stop the two men, they did not only find a stolen roof, but also drugs. Police confiscated the roof, which was then reunited with its owner, who, I imagine, was exceedingly surprised. As for the two thieves, well, they were carted off to jail. It is now quiz time. Super. Look at the screen and tell me what this is. And if you can ID it, can you tell me the correct scientific name for it? I will give you that correct name at the end of this piece. Well, if you said it is whale vomit, then you are correct. For a man walking on the beach in Sihanoukville spotted a large white mass, and quite incredibly, he identified it as whale vomit. And his skill at recognizing vomit could earn him a huge payday, for whale vomit is worth $40,000 a kilo, which is amazing. One would have thought if anything washing up on the beaches of Sihanoukville and was worth tens of thousands of dollars, it would be drugs. But no, it's vomit. The vomit is currently being DNA tested, and if it checks out, the lucky finder will earn big, as only recently a fisherman in Thailand found a 30-kilo lump, and that was worth $1.2 million. But why the value? Well, it is highly valued by perfume makers to make their scent last longer. So, vomit fans, do you know the correct name for whale vomit? Well, it is ambergris, and it only comes from the sperm whale. Are you a teacher? If so, you have become a bit of an endangered species, as the capital is very short of teachers of late. Their numbers are in decline due to retirements and people leaving the profession. The shortage is quite severe, as at least 1,000 teachers are needed in the capital urgently to cater for the ever-increasing number of children. And to give you an idea as to the scale of the situation, would you believe me if I told you at current there are over 10,000 teachers in total across the Phnom Penh district alone? Now that is a huge number, but it is still falling very short of the number required.
The Department of Education in Phnom Penh plans to rebalance the capital's shortage of teachers. The plan will aim to move teachers from districts with a surplus to Phnom Penh itself. The Director of Education said this week that the entire city is facing a serious lack of teachers within the public school sector, and this problem is not new. There has been a lack of teachers for over 2 decades now, but the problem is getting more acute. The director said, "In Phnom Penh's public schools, we need at least 400 more teachers for primary schools and 200 for high schools, as well as a further 300 plus teachers at the kindergarten level." He added that there were about 11,000 teachers in Phnom Penh 5 years ago, but due to retirements, schools have seen the total number of teachers drop, and a staffing shortage is one of the main issues affecting public schools for over 10 years now. Dr. Mengli, chairman of MJQ Education, has said that the shortage of teachers in Phnom Penh is solely due to the lack of teacher training within Cambodia, and the country needs more schools, but not for the kids, but for teachers, which means new schools need to be staffed with teachers to teach teachers, so those teachers may teach the kids. It's all rather confusing, all this school stuff. No wonder I was not very good at it.
It's time to have a look ahead and see what the weather has in store for us next week.
What you see is the temperature dropping to 17 degrees and there's thunder and lightning right across the board. It is horrific weather. But then again, this is Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. I mean, look at it. Look at all those thunder and lightnings going on there. So when we go over to our weather, it looks quite good, doesn't it? We've got a healthy 29 degrees. There is rain across the board, but a lot less lightning than Addis Ababa, and the humidity in the high 70s, as is our norm.
This has been the Khmer Times News. Please do subscribe and comment and stay up to date with all the breaking news by following us on both Facebook and Telegram. This has been Paolo Bonini, and that was the week that was. I'll see you next weekend for your weekly Roundup.